most festive time of year holds some secrets too dark for jingle bells and cheerful carols. Let's unwrap 8 true stories where Christmas took a terrifying turn. When our department's secret Santa drawing was held, I never imagined I'd get something from the office creep. Everyone called him Chris, and he gave off a seriously unsettling energy. The rules said you weren't supposed to find out your gift giver until the next day. I had bought a nice scented candle for Margaret, an older colleague. I assumed I'd get something simple, too. My gift felt like a framed picture, with glass on the front, wrapped sloppily with a fragile sticker. That evening, after a draining personal phone call, I finally opened it. What I saw inside made my blood run cold. It was a framed photo of a couple on a beach. The man wore a tiny swimsuit, and the woman wore a neon pink bikini so sheer it was almost not there. The horrifying part? My face had been clumsily pasted onto the woman's body, and Chris's face was on the man's. His messy signature was in the corner. I felt sick, but decided to deal with it at work the next day. The gift reveal was a nightmare. When Chris asked, with genuine hope on his face, if I liked it, I froze. He outranked me. "It was thoughtful," I stammered. I lied and said I'd left it at home when people asked to see it. That night, I tore the photo to shreds, tossed it in the outside trash, and tried to forget. A few days later, he cornered me in the break room. "Why did you throw my present away?" he hissed, his fingers digging into my arm. My heart hammered. How did he know? He admitted, chillingly calm, that he'd been checking my garbage. He claimed I was sexualizing a simple picture. When I argued back, he snapped. He grabbed me and tried to shove my face toward the hot stove. I screamed. Thankfully, Greg, our manager, heard and broke down the door. He tackled Chris hard. Later, Greg told me Chris had been bragging to other guys that his secret Santa gift would win his colleague over. Some gifts aren't meant to be opened, and some people shouldn't be trusted. Chris was fired, and I pressed charges. We still do Secret Santa, but new hires get a warning about the one guy who ruined it for everyone. Story 2. I was home alone a few nights before Christmas when I first heard the thumps on the roof. I brushed it off. An old house, maybe some animals. But the pacing footsteps came again, faster this time, like someone running in circles. I went outside to look, but saw nothing. The moment I went back in, the person on the roof went crazy, sprinting around like a maniac. When I went out again, I finally saw him. He was filthy, wearing a torn Santa suit, and pointed a bony finger right at me. "You're on the naughty list!" he shrieked. He looked like a desperate, emaciated addict. I pulled out my phone and called the police right in front of him, keeping my eyes locked on his. When I told him the cops were coming, he just paused and started doing parkour laps again. I watched in disbelief as he sprinted, did a front flip to the neighbor's roof, and kept running. The police caught him after he ran headfirst into a chimney and knocked himself out. The cop told me he was a local addict who wanted to be Santa but couldn't afford gifts, so he just ran on roofs and dropped baggies of what was probably drugs down chimneys. My boyfriend didn't believe me for an hour when he got home. I'm just glad we don't have a chimney in Story 3. When I volunteered for a local toy drive, we made a huge mistake. We accepted pre-wrapped gifts. A week before Christmas, I was carrying a stack when a sharp pain shot through my hand. A needle was sticking straight out of a box. Inside was a box full of uncapped diabetic syringes. We unwrapped every gift with similar paper. What we found was meant to traumatize children. One was a children's book with graphic adult images glued over the illustrations. Another was a doll that had been modified in ways I won't describe. The worst was a teddy bear. My colleague noticed odd stitching on its back. The police later told us it was stuffed with a medical bag full of pig's blood. We were devastated. Someone had targeted kids who had nothing. The darkest spirits don't hide in haunted houses. They hide in donated gifts. The initiative was canceled after that. I just hope that person faces their own kind of judgment someday. Surely want to. 4. Our small craft store staff decided on a potluck Christmas party at our assistant manager Janine's house. For weeks, every email she sent stressed one thing: she was deathly allergic to peanuts. We all promised to be careful. The party was great, full of laughter and amazing food. None of us noticed there was one extra dish on the table. We'd barely started eating when Janine began choking, her face swelling. Our boss, Carol, miraculously pulled an EpiPen from her purse and saved her. An ambulance took Janine to the hospital. The doctors confirmed she'd eaten a significant number of peanuts. The source was a meatloaf. The terrifying question was, which one of us had brought it? We all denied it. Suspicion poisoned our workplace. We eyed each other for months, until Janine finally had to leave. Years later, she emailed us all with the truth. The culprit was her husband. He had placed the peanut-filled meatloaf on the table while we were chatting, hoping to kill her and frame one of us. It wasn't a colleague. It was the person who was supposed to love her most. Story 5. My neighbor Ron was the overly enthusiastic, slightly obnoxious heart of our street. He hosted everything and decorated extravagantly for every holiday. On Christmas Eve, he started blasting Paul McCartney's Wonderful Christmas Time on repeat, louder and louder each time. By the 9th loop, my windows were rattling. I'd had enough. I marched over to tell him off, but his front door was wide open and a light-up Santa was smashed on the lawn. Inside, the house was trashed. I followed the music to the living room and found Ron in a pool of blood, propped against his stereo. Both his legs were broken, one bone poking through. His one working hand was on the volume knob, turning it up to call for help. He glanced urgently toward the upstairs. I grabbed an axe from his woodpile and went up. A masked man was ransacking the room. I swung the handle and knocked him down, then tied him up with computer cables. The intruder was Ron's estranged son, trying to rob and kill him for the valuables in his safe. That horrific night forged an unbreakable bond. Ron is my best friend now, and I help him decorate every year. We have just one rule: we never, ever listen to that song again. Story 6. This is my dad's story, from when I was a kid. We went to a national forest to cut down our own Christmas tree, which was perfectly legal with a permit. My dad was chopping away when a large, angry couple came storming over. The man snatched our permit, threw it in the snow, and stomped on it. My mom started yelling at him. That's when my dad realized he couldn't see me. He looked around and spotted the man's wife, waddling away through the trees, dragging me by the hand. The husband tried to block his view. My dad didn't hesitate. He punched the man, sending him flying into a tree. Then he sprinted after the woman, tackling her hard. She hit a tree and was knocked out. My mom tied up the husband with the straps we had for the tree. My dad sat on the unconscious wife until the police came. Their story was that they were protecting the forest. But why try to take a child? The cops called it a misunderstanding and let it go. My dad still worries they tried it with other families. His advice? Don't be afraid to tackle a kidnapper, no matter their size. Story 7. In 1996, the only thing my 5-year-old son wanted was a talking Buzz Lightyear doll. They were impossible to find. Scouring the classifieds, I found an ad from a sweet old lady selling one for just $40, a fraction of the scalper prices. She said she'd bought it for her older grandson would bite a mistake. I drove to her house, paid her, and got the toy still in its Sears bag. We had a lovely chat. As I was walking back to my car, 3 masked teens surrounded me. They started shoving me, demanding to know what was in the bag. I begged them, saying it was just a toy for my little boy. They just laughed and tried to grab it. In the struggle, I felt a cold, sharp pain in my side. One of them had stabbed me. I dropped the bag and they ran off, suddenly horrified with each other. I was left bleeding on the sidewalk. The wound wasn't life-threatening, but my son didn't get his Buzz Lightyear that Christmas. When we told him the truth, he was incredibly gracious. I found one on a shelf week later and finally gave it to him. I was stabbed over a plastic spaceman. That's the holiday spirit for you. Story 8. During a historic Oklahoma blizzard on Christmas Eve, my car slid into a ditch and was quickly buried in snow. I was stranded, with no cell signal, convinced I would freeze to death. To conserve the car battery, I only used the heater in short bursts. Delirious from the cold, I saw a figure outside wearing ragged animal skins, moving through the trees. They tapped on my window and then ran off. I knew I was hallucinating. A classic sign of hypothermia set in. I felt burning hot and started stripping off my layers. Just as I was fading, I saw golden lights glowing through the blizzard. I thought it was angels. It was a rescue truck. They got me to the hospital with severe hypothermia. My boyfriend, a paramedic, spent Christmas Day at my bedside. Nearly dying in a ditch makes you appreciate simply being alive. It was, strangely, one of my best Christmases ever. Those are 8 true tales where the holiday cheer was pierced by something much darker. If these stories gripped you, do the kindest, simplest thing you can for this channel. Give this video a like. It genuinely helps Wines of Thought share more forgotten stories with you. What's the creepiest or most unexplained thing that's ever happened to you during the holidays? Tell me in the comments below. Stay curious and be safe out there.